Let's talk about Mr. O today. This is a book from 2002, originally published in France, 2004 when NBM published it here in America, and I will show you in a second how cheap it must have been to reprint it from a creative point of view because there are no words. This is a completely silent book. Lewis Trondheim, for those of you who aren't familiar with him, is sort of the jack of all trades and master of all of them in Franco-Belgian comics. The man can write anything: fantasy, sci-fi, slice of life, comedy, drama, murder, mystery, the whole 9 yards. Whatever it is, he will write it, and he probably has. He's also drawn it. He does a great autobiographical series that NBM also published for, I think, about 4 volumes worth of books that he does as a sort of a watercolor journal of his life that was really good, and one of the things that I most wish had continued on from this time period of the mid-2000s, but unfortunately did not. Mr. O here is a special book. Let me just give you a look at what this involves and entails. This is a series of blackout gags. Think Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner kind of thing. Each page has 60 panels, 6 across, 10 down, and every page is a story of Mr. O trying to jump over this chasm here. Simplest kind of plot you could possibly ask for, and he makes, I don't know, 40 some odd jokes out of it. I think, let's see, ends on page 32, starts on page 3. So 30 different jokes. This is the book that once and for all will disprove the concept that reading a silent comic is faster than reading a comic with words. If you have ADHD, this might not be the comic for you. This is a comic that will challenge you, especially in this TikTok era, to pay attention and read from panel to panel to panel to panel to panel, repeat, 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 and it will reward your concentration. There is a story here on every page, and it's not as straightforward as you might think they all are. Some of them get pretty complicated. But at the heart of them all, this is a story of Mr. O trying to jump across this chasm and usually dying by the end. In this particular case, after some failed attempts, he realizes there are some little stones here. He can throw those stones into the chasm. And eventually, given enough time, you can see the clock spinning here. He's got an old man now. He's got a gray goatee. He will fill up that chasm. And as he fills up that chasm, he will finally be able to cross that chasm, get to the other side, and die of a heart attack. Whether this is your sense of humor or not, your mileage may vary. For me, it works because, one, I appreciate the creativity on display here with this book, showing how comics can work in a different way. And also, I just approve of that kind of comedy. I'm a sick, dark, twisted individual. This was done, by the way, after he did the little Santa books. I've made videos on those. The 2 or 3 that NBM did, plus 1 or 2 more that were done in France afterwards. There's still one book I don't own in that series. I'm going to get it, and I want to review it for this coming Christmas, so we'll see how that goes. Also a silent book there, but that was done with Thierry Robin doing the art. This is all art and story by Lewis Trondheim. You can see they changed the color scheme in every story. And there's some stories that involve him trying to creatively use a tree to get across the chasm, and sometimes the birds in the tree get in the way. And sometimes knocking over the tree works, but then a bird shows up at the end. And sometimes he can pull enough leaves off the tree, he thinks he can fly over the chasm. Just a whole bunch of varieties of gags of his attempt to get over. Here he builds a ladder from the tree and thinks that will get him over. And he's helped by this guy here, this little green guy. He looks almost like the letter I, and hold that thought because we'll get to that in a few minutes. But everything always goes wrong. And it's just a series of funny gags. Trondheim has a great sense of humor and is, again, a master of comedy on the comics page. There's a cow involved in this one. Over and over and over again. Definitely worth a read. This thing has been long out of print. I don't think it's available digitally. I haven't checked Isneo. Maybe it's available on isneo.com. Since it's not in French, since you can read this no matter what language you speak, feel free to find it digitally somewhere and pick it up because you won't have to translate anything, which is a good thing. Oh, look at this. He's got a cannon. He's going to blast himself across. Boy, that is just... Has Mr. O never watched a single Wile E. Coyote cartoon? He must be Gen Z. I don't know if they understand who Wile E. Coyote is anymore, but you just know that's going to go wrong. Now, there is a sequel to this book. So well received it was, and so well it did. 2 years later in France, and I think 2 years later as well in America, Mr. I. Now, this is a little less straightforward. At the heart of it is a series of stories where Mr. I is trying to eat the pie that's in the window. A classic comedy setup, going back probably to vaudeville days, which again is another kind of comedy I enjoy greatly for some reason. I'm an old soul, I know. But it's not just the pie books, the pie stories. There are other completely random stories about other things in here, such as the time he comes across this circular guy who's watering a plant, and I guess it's a carrot plant, and he picks a carrot out of the ground, and then things go wrong between them because he's stealing the other guy's carrots. There's a bunch of different stories on here, not just about the pie, although the pie is a recurring scheme that you'll see. Here he is trying to grab an apple from a high branch in a tree, and over the course of 60 panels again, he learns that it's not so easy to get the apple, and it will backfire on him spectacularly. Here he is climbing a tree to get to the apple. Here comes a cow to hit the tree. No, he falls off the branch. The branch falls off, lands on the cow. The cow sends him reeling. He gets loose from the cow, but the cow hits the tree, and the tree then falls over on top of him and kills him. It's just funny, crazy stuff like that goes on. Again, the color scheme changes. Here he's on an island trying to do some fishing. Here he's going for the pie, but there's snow out there, and his hands are burning hot when he touches the pie, so he tries the snow to cool it off. He steals this guy's gloves. This guy doesn't like the fact that he stole the gloves. They torture each other. He dies. Oh no, you killed Kenny indeed. Over and over again. Again, this one I'm pretty sure is also 30 pages. Let's just double check that. From page 3 to page 32. So yeah, 30 more gags. It seems like a book that you'd read pretty fast, but again, it's not. You will have to focus on this book while you're reading it to follow the story, because they're not going to tell you the story. You can't just read the words to be told what the story is. You have to read the story, and it will unfold in front of you, and it will reward you for doing so. One other quick story about these books, I think Mr. O in particular. I remember going to Philadelphia Comic-Con one year, so it must have been 2004, 2005. I was at a Darwyn Cooke panel. I was not on the panel, I was in the audience. And Darwyn Cooke asked if anyone had read this book. It was one of his favorite recent comics. I guess the question was, what comics have you read recently that you enjoyed? And he mentioned Mr. O as one of them, and asked at that point if anyone else had read the book. And I was the only person in the crowd who raised my hand, and he had something nice to say towards me about that, because obviously Franco-Belgian comics rule, and we both knew that even back then. Consider this a Darwyn Cooke favorite. If that's going to get you to search for this book on eBay or wherever you have to find it, it's worth finding it. I don't think he did a third book in this series in France. I think it was just Mr. O and Mr. I. And at that point, I wouldn't blame him for being tired of all that drawing. Again, you may not think it's a lot. You may think, oh, he's just drawing characters in the shapes of O's and I's. But, man, there's a lot of stuff you got to keep straight in your head while drawing all this. Imagine the pacing. Imagine having a blank page in front of you with 60 panels. And you have an idea for where the story is going to begin, how you're going to set it up, and how it's going to end. And you have to fill in 60 panels and make that work from a pacing point of view, from landing on the last panel correctly. It blows my mind as someone who just has to write a review from top to bottom or create a video and can always edit it together later. This is amazing and interesting to me. And Lewis Trondheim is just a name you should look out for if you're not familiar with Franco-Belgian comics. He also does a long dungeon series that NBM has published books on consistently, I think now for over 20 years. It's not so much my thing. I'm not a fantasy guy as much, but It is out there from NBM. Some of that stuff is still in production. He also did recently an Asterix homage album that will likely never be published in English, so I'm going to have to find a French edition of that book and spend some time with Google Translate to read it. But Mr. I, Mr. O, give them a shot if you see them. They're worth a read.